Yo, peace to the 12, man. Y'all see the title. The unicorn in the Bible. I'm going to say that one more time. The unicorn in the Bible, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. This ain't going to be a long video. And I really ain't going to go too deep into it. I just wanted to touch on the fact that, yes, the word unicorn does occur in the Bible. And I'm going to show you guys what the unicorn actually is versus what people tell you it is, right? So, it occurs in 6 instances, the word unicorn, like Numbers 23 and 22, it says God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn, right? And then it occurs in Numbers 24 and 8, unicorn, Job 39, 9 and 10, Job 39 and 10, Psalms 29 and 6, Psalms 92 and 10. And also it probably occurs more because it probably has the word unicorns with an S in it. So it's probably, I'm just going to guess, probably occurs about 10 times, right? So anyway, when you think of a unicorn in the modern era, you probably think of what? You probably think of this type of thing, right? We probably think of rainbows, ponies, the color pink, girly stuff, you know, all that manner of stuff, right? But in reality, the real unicorn is the rhino, the rhinoceros, right? For those of you that did not know, right? You guys can look this up on your own. I did very surface level research to prove this video. I've known this for a while, but I did very surface level research. You guys can Google this and look it up for more information. But yeah, the unicorn is actually a rhino, right? And it makes sense because the quote unquote mythological unicorn has one horn, right? Well, so does the rhino sometimes, but there is a rhino. There are 2 or 3 rhinos, I think, that have 2 horns. I'm actually going to go into that in a minute. But yeah, look this at Google, easy. The unicorn is a rhino. Yes, the unicorn is related to the rhinoceros. The unicorn may have originated from a great rhino. The Siberian unicorn, a giant rhino with long nose horn, may have been the inspiration for the unicorn myth. The Siberian unicorn lived in Eurasia and shared the planet with early modern humans till at least 39,000 years ago. Yeah, whatever. The greater one-horned rhinoceros is associated with unicorns, right? The greater one-horned rhinoceros scientific name, unicornis, means one horn. As a matter of fact, the word uni, right, it means one, right? Like one thing, like uno, like the Spanish word uno. What is that? One, right? So unicorn means one horn, right? Anyway, in Latin, unicornis means one horn in Latin. You see that? The rhino horn is made of keratin, the same material as human fingernails, that could grow to be 12 to 15 inches long. The word unicorn may have originally referred to a rhinoceros. The original unicorn was likely a rhinoceros, and the word horn comes from an old English word that was pronounced more like corn. Yeah, like I said, unicorn means one horn, right? The ancient Greeks and Romans likely considered the one-horned rhinoceros to be the unicorn. The ancient Greeks and Romans likely considered the one-horned rhinoceros to be the unicorn, right? Then we go to here. It says the real-life unicorn was a kind of rhino from Eurasia, but it was bigger than modern rhinos and probably galloped like a horse. Scientists have known about Siberian unicorns since 1808. For a long time, they thought the unicorns went extinct 200,000 years ago. What does unicorn and rhino mean? Although our modern view of the creature referred to here is quite different, ancient scholars had to come up with a Greek word for it, so drawing on garbled descriptions of the rhinoceros, they settled on the Greek word monokeros, which means one horn, right? Monokeros had already been used by some writers for the Indian. Go down to here. Our rhinos, the unicorns in the early 1600s, the King James Version translators took the lead from the Latin Vulgate and used unicorn to translate the original Hebrew word. Fun fact, we do have a good idea what the ancient Romans and Greeks considered to be the unicorn, and it was probably the one-horned rhinoceros, right? So that was all the surface level information. And now I'm going to touch on, we're going to go back to the Bible. We're going to go to Genesis 48, I believe. Yeah, Genesis 48 and 11. And I want to touch on the blessing of Ephraim and Manasseh, which are the sons of Joseph, right, who are part of the 12 tribes of Israel. And their blessing is that I believe Ephraim was going to be greater than Manasseh, right, in number and in attributes. But they are both going to be great in their own right. And they're even compared to a unicorn, I believe, in Deuteronomy. And that unicorn that's talking about is one big horn and one little horn, and that's talking about a rhino. I'll explain all that in a minute. So we're going to read it. Genesis 48 and 11 down to 21. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath showed me also thy seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand, and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. Right? Now, of course, you know, according to our customs and traditions, the firstborn is supposed to get the portion of the inheritance. But in this case, it was not so. You're about to find out, right? And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them. In the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head onto Manasseh. See, so he was going to give the blessing to Ephraim, right? And Manasseh was the firstborn, so he traditionally should have been the person who got that birthright. But this is not the first time that this instance happens. This same thing happens with Jacob and Esau. Esau came out first, but the blessing was given to Jacob, right? The supplanter. All right. But anyway, and when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head onto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused, and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. It's talking about Ephraim, right? And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he sat Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again into the land of your fathers. Right? So upon the blessing, he tells him that Ephraim, the younger brother, shall be greater than his older brother, right? Ephraim and Manasseh, but they both shall be great in their own right, right? So, when we go to Deuteronomy, chapter 33, and verse 16 through 17, it reads, And for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the good will of him that dwelt in the bush, let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren, right? And like I said, Joseph had the two sons, that being Ephraim and Manasseh, right? And it says right here, this is talking about the family of Joseph right here. It says, His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With him he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. So this is the clue right here. All right, so let's go back. Let me actually highlight this. So where was it at? And on verse 19 of Genesis 48 and 19, he said, he also shall become a people, and he shall be great, but truly his younger brother shall be greater than he. Right? So when we go back to here, and it talks about the heads of Joseph, that being Ephraim and Manasseh, and it says that Ephraim would have 10,000s, and Manasseh would just have thousands, and it was compared to the horns of a unicorn. That unicorn it's talking about is the rhinoceros, because with a rhino, you have, or with certain rhino species, you have one horn that is larger and bigger than the other. In the same way that 10,000s is greater than thousands. That's what it's talking about. So when he says, like the horns of unicorns, 10,000s, and they are and Ephraim has 10,000, and Manasseh only has thousands. That's the equivalent of the horns of a unicorn, which is the rhinoceros, who has the long horn and then the smaller horn, right? Because the white rhino, black rhino, and Sumatran rhino all have 2 horns, right? While the other ones just have the single, right? So the 2 horns it's talking about in this case is the rhino. Once again, one greater than the other, one bigger than the other. That is the horns of the unicorns, which is talking about the rhinoceros, right? And that wasn't going to be a long video, man. I just wanted to touch on that topic, man. So that's the unicorn in the Bible, man. Lord willing, that list was edifying. So with that, man, I say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world commonly calls God. And Yahweh Shai is the Savior of the nation of Israel, who the world commonly calls Jesus Christ. I want to say Shalom, which means peace. You people listen and learn, you brothers doing this work, true sincerity, and elders in this name before me. Go in peace.